Oh, good old phone. Greetings, Patrick here, half cheater will view, 8 questions with, and welcome to the show, boys and girls. Yeah, my phone and that charger still has a weird relationship. All right, so welcome to the show. Uh, it is Thursday, and we are going to be talking to a very, very cool guest tonight. We will be talking to Israel Luna from La Luna Films, and he's he's unlike any other director that I have interviewed as of yet, and I'm very excited about it because it's a genre that nobody talks about at all on any level. Even my friends in the communities don't talk about it, but we are because that's how we are. That's what we do. We talk to the movers and the shakers, and Israel is definitely one of those. Definitely one of those. He's been making films now for over 10 years. His movies have opened up in Tribeca in New York City and played in festivals around the world. He is based in Dallas, Texas, as of right now, I believe. And I just found one of his films. Um, the Dead Don't Die in Dallas. This is not the name of this movie. So I suspected that. I suspected that I when I heard about the title of this, the original title of this movie, yeah, they definitely changed the name of it, and I think they changed it with the movie that I got introduced to Israel on, and that was a Ouija Daily Reunion, which is not it's not necessarily a horror film at all. So this was actually uh, the title of this film when it first came out. It was not Dead in Dallas. It was not. It was actually called. I'll tell you what it was called because it was a very interesting title. So the original title, let's see if they actually put it out here. Might not, but you know what? I'm actually gonna let Israel tell us about this a little bit how this happened. But I will tell you, this is an interesting movie. Very interesting movie. I came out on ITN. I found my copy this very week at the library. I found this at the library, and just in time for the interview too. So it's very exciting to find a film from a filmmaker. The movie that I originally watched of his. Hey, what's going on, Casey? This one's going to be a little different, my friend. This one's going to be a little different. It's going to be or we're going to be going down some uncharted territory for us, but glad to do so. Any chance you get a chance to walk down a new pathway, always exciting. And Israel is an acclaimed and a critically acclaimed film director, screenwriter, and it just kills me though. Kills me when I see these distributors. They always change the name of some of these movies. This is not the original movie title for this film, um, and we'll talk about how that happens. I guess they changed the name for marketability. Sort of like how Walmart changed they changed Satanic Panic to just Panic. Um, everybody was like, well, that's not the name of the film. Well, in order to get it over with their crowd, they had to take off the satanic part of it. So then it became just Panic. Uh, so he will be here in about 10 minutes or so. And yeah, um, let me tell you what's going on in the old calendar real quick. Uh, Hi, Sue. How are you? How are you? Hey, Joseph. Welcome back. Welcome back. So tonight is Israel Luno will be here at 8. Tomorrow night we will be talking to one of the most elite professionals I've had a chance to talk to, and that is in Dan Crawley. I'll be watching Renfield tonight. As soon as this show's over with, I'll be watching Renfield to see his work in action. Um, Tremendously talented man. Um, just had his birthday yesterday too. Uh, and he's worked on so many great movies. His line of credit, it's not even half of what his IMDb page should be reading. He's done so much more than that, and his IMDb page is pretty well stacked. It's gonna be really cool. Hey, Echo. Uh, so that's gonna be tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And I hopefully I'll be asking him today when I get out of here. I'm going to ask him if he's going to do the interview in his workshop so we can see some of his models, some of the stuff that he's done. I have a feeling we're all going to be in for a real treat. The 15th, we are doing a matinee show. We are a matinee show. We will be welcoming in the Night Watch podcast at 4 p.m. So they'll be here. Ryan and Garrett will be here, and we're going to be talking about doing podcasting um, and how they got their start and topics they talk about and how do they make their podcast work so well. It's a very fun show to listen to. See, Joseph says, I don't think I'm not doing a interview with Amy McDonald. She's pretty busy. Yeah, you know what, Joseph? Ooh, yeah, not surprised with that, my friend. I know they're filming the second film right now. If they're not filming it, then they're getting ready to. And I believe now, remember, she's Australian. She's Australian or New Zealand, and they're upside down. Oh no, she's not upset with you. It's that she's probably going to school right now. It's probably school time because right now it's their winter. Um, so we will be talking to the Night Watch on the 15th. On the 18th, next Tuesday, we'll be talking with our good friend Horror with Haas at 8 o'clock. On the 19th, we welcome back Douglas Epps. Will be with us on the 19th at 8 p.m. Monday the 24th, we're going to be welcoming in Jessica Dawn Willis at 8 p.m. She is the star of the film Silhouette and The Woman Under the Stage. And we'll be talking with her on the 24th. On the 26th, we have the mighty Lazy Cheetah will be here doing some artwork. And we'll be chatting with Lazy Cheetah. On the 27th, we have Reverend Horace Sheffield will be here at 8 o'clock. On the 29th, we have our friends Jennifer and Alan from Jennifer at Home, the YouTube channel, will be coming in. And on the 30th, I'll be hosting the ISC Midnight Show on the 30th, and we will be watching and discussing Hellgate, starring Carrie Elways and John Hurt, or William Hurt. Is it William? And that's going to be a fun movie. That's a really cool movie. Very well done. Still working on August. Got some holes to fill in yet, but we will get there. Good news is our friend Lady Valerie did reach her 100 sub mark today. We put it out there. We all kept on working at it. The last time I looked, she had 106 subs. We're pushing it even more so. I think the midnight hour will be pushing it. We'll be pushing it a little bit later on tonight as well. Okay, Joseph, we'll be here. So congratulations to Lady Valerie for cracking 100. That's awesome. So happy for her. She's starting to put out some really cool content now, and she's gonna be, from what I understand from her, she's gonna be starting doing some film reviews. So that'll be fun. See, next week, next Tuesday, or this Saturday, House of Horrors is welcoming in Gabriella. I know how to say her last name. Pizzella. Oh God, I'm killing the name. And the House of Horrors, that'll be next Saturday, 8 p.m. Of course, we also have the Echo Side next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, that will actually be the 19th. At 10 o'clock, they will be welcoming in film director, screenwriter Chadwick Whitmire and actor Alex Javo as they talk about the new movie Malcolm, which just dropped this trailer this week. So and the movie will be debuting on Tubi in October. We talked to Simon Shee last week, who was also in the movie, and so now Echo will be interviewing Chadwick Whitmire and Alex Jobble. I know that we'll be having a cast interview with that in September before the movie premieres. Uh, yeah, that's gonna be really cool. That's gonna be really cool. Let's see what else is going on today. Oh, yeah, that might be about it for me. I should probably start doing better notes for pre-show, right? I don't know what the midnight hour is doing. I asked Hobbs. I didn't hear anything back from him. So let me see if he said what he said. Nope, I don't know what they're doing on the midnight hour. Well, whatever it is, it's going to be fun, and I do believe they will be pushing Valerie a little bit more to get her past 110. All right. I have a new video coming out as soon as the show's over with. It'll be my haul video that I got from Wes. He sent me some really Wes, aka the Ice Lord. He sent me some movies he sent me some movies, and I made a video about it. So I will be dropping that as soon as this show's over with. And before I watch Renfield, looking forward to that movie. Have not seen it. Have not seen it. So I'm looking forward to it. I probably will be doing a review. I mean, this will probably crack up Katie, but I think I'm going to end up reviewing for Dollar Tree Theater. I'm going to end up reviewing The Haunted Mansion from 2003. I did not hate that movie. I thought it was fun. It definitely felt very studio though. You know, definitely felt like it was filmed on a studio lot. Um, I think they had a couple of locations on location shots, but it really didn't feel like it felt like it was very elaborate sets. But that's okay. It was fun. It was fun for what it was. Good acting. Um, we got to see Terrence Stamp in his bad guy mode. That was the first time I ever seen the main actress named Marsha Thompson. I'd never seen her before, and I was listening to the commentary, and okay, that's our guest saying that he'll be here momentarily. I'm very excited like I said, I'm very excited to have him up. Um, so we will be I'm going to be reviewing the Haunted Mansion. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. I been a while since I did a Disney movie. I've done a few Disney movies for Dollar Tree Theater, but it's been a while since I've done one. So I think I did The Rookie last time. But I think the new movie, I thought the new Haunted House was coming out next year. I think it's coming out this year. I think, right? I could be wrong. I don't, I thought it was coming out next year. No, it's coming out this year. So it's coming out at the end of the month with Tiffany Haddish and Jamie Lee Curtis. So there we go. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about our guest while he gets here. So Israel Luna is an award-winning director. I said when I was trying to figure out how to describe him, um, because he's a trailblazer. That's for sure. He does a genre of film that is like, in fact, I was looking at Wikipedia during my research, and the amount of films that that Israel does featuring characters, gay, trans, lesbian characters, I think you could probably put in a single month. I think there's probably maybe less than 30 films mainstream that feature not just in a cameo or just, but feature gay, lesbian, trans characters, drag queens, and what have you, in main supporting roles. And a lot of the times that they're always portrayed as victims or as killers. Of course, probably the most two of the most well-known trans or trans characters are transvestite. Of course, Michael Caine in Dress to Kill, and also John Savage in Dog Day Afternoon. He Al Pacino was robbing a bank to get money for his girlfriend's sex change or his boyfriend's sex change. And so they had a list of characters of movies and people in the movies of how they were portrayed. And they were right. They're either victims or some don't have names. Um, but Israel is working hard to change that. His films are all gay, lesbian, trans centered. Um, as far as, and he makes horror films. He makes horror films with them. That is completely different. I don't know other than Dress to Kill, and you could argue if that was horror or not. We could discuss that with Israel when he gets here. I think it's suspense thriller. I don't know what other people might think. I don't know if they see it as horror or not, but we're going to ask him. Our guest is here, so I'm going to go get him. And thank you for who is here, whoever will come in and watch this. And let's go get him. Hey, Dell, how are you? Welcome to the show. This one's going to be a keeper. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Hi.
Hi, Israel. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you doing?
I am very excited to have you on.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
once I started doing my research and I saw what the work that you've done. I have never had a, a I've never had a gay filmmaker on my show before. Um,
Wow, nice.
uh, no, actually, I'm sort of irritated by that because it's like I've done over 320 shows. You would think I would have ran across one sooner than later,
Yeah, I
right?
would think so too. Yeah, I wonder why there's
So
not.
So, but I mean, I'm a little bummed out by that. And it's not because I don't look. I mean, how I found you was I was on Tubi and I was watching Reunion Resurrection, Dark
Yes.
Resurrection. That movie is so interesting. It's so cool.
It,
And I'm sitting there and I'm going like, I gotta see if I can find this guy. So what I did was I typed you up on Instagram, found you, said, come talk to me. Then when I went and looked at you, then I realized that I had done a lot better than I envisioned. I'm like, oh man, I got a player, I got a major player here, I got a trendsetter, like a visionary. I sometimes I'm lucky. Sometimes I just, sometimes how it happens. It's like it's not planned. It's like, holy cow! It's like, yeah.
well, I
Um,
appreciate that very much. That's very flattering.
I'm very excited. This week I went out and I found Dead Don't Die in Dallas. But as we all know, this is not the name of the movie.
No, it's not.
No. What's the name of this movie? I left it up for you to tell us.
It was originally called Kicking Zombie Ass for Jesus. And and when it was about to be released, the distribution company that was releasing it said, Israel, Walmart's interested, but they don't want that title of, you know, uh, um, I know like zombie ass, and they just said Walmart doesn't want that on their shelves. So would you mind if we changed the title? And I said, well, I understand because Walmart's the biggest retailer in the world, and being an indie filmmaker, you want your stuff out there. And I said, as long as they don't touch the movie's content, I'm okay with just changing the title because it's still the same movie and the same message.
Um, our friend, we are being rated by our friend V. Thank you so much, V. Hi, Danny. Welcome in. Welcome in. Echo, our friend Echo Zero. He is a huge ITN fan. He loves their movies. He watched Dead Don't Die in Dallas. He loved it.
Oh,
We do have visionary. The horror community. I have to admit, the horror community, especially the ones I know, the folks I know, I have to give them credit. They're more open-minded than I think they realize sometimes. Like, to sit down and watch a movie like this with gay characters, drag queens, sexual people. I think I love the idea that you made a horror movie, and that's really your niche. You make excellent horror films.
Thank you very
Uh,
much.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm just sitting there watching. I I really love the Ouija Dark Resurrection. That title was not the original title though for it, was it?
For Deadly Reunion, you mean?
Yes, that was
Yes,
not the.
it was not the original title either. I think it was going to be called Ouija Warehouse, is what it was going to be called.
That movie is one of the most interesting movies I've seen this year for sure. I thought it had so much heart to it. And one question: did you do that in one take?
No. Excuse me. I did want it to come off as we did it in one take. We would shoot 10 minutes at a time, and then I would do something with the camera to where it could transition to the next 10 minutes. So it was continuous for a full 10 minutes. And trust me, there was a moment on like one of the days we were shooting that we were down to the last 30 seconds. I don't know if you remember, but there's a scene where a luggage bag with the handle on top is going inside the portal.
Right.
That was going to be, as soon as it went in there, we were going to cut and then start the next 10 minutes. It kept falling. So even though the 10 minutes were done, everyone did perfect, that fell. So we had to do the entire 10 minutes again, and it was driving us crazy.
Yeah, that I think doing single takes like that really does. Yes. Echo just mentioning that. I mentioned this before the show, before you got here. I was mentioning how Walmart infamously changed the name of Satanic Panic. They made it just so Panic. So they put all the slip covers said Panic on it. It wasn't until you got home that if you undid, took it out of the slip, it said Satanic Panic for it because of the title change.
Right. And it's really tough to make that decision because, it's not like we're making trillions of dollars. We just want exposure of our films and of our artistic craft out there to the public. So when somebody like Walmart, and they're everywhere, you can brag about it and take pictures with it at Walmart and stuff. It's a lot of bragging rights. So you just have to kind of think about those things when you're making the decisions of agreeing to change the title, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, if it means changing the titles, it means changing it, if that's the difference between selling 500 copies or 15,000 copies,
Yes.
change the name all day long.
Yes.
But like you said, just don't change the content. You can't. I mean, the movie is what it is. You
Right.
deal with that or not.
Yes.
Um,
And so when Ouija Warehouse, when it was originally Ouija Warehouse, the distributor watched it and they said, we feel that with the name Ouija Warehouse, we were thinking it's going to be this rundown old warehousey kind of creepy vibe. And they said, but it's like a production studio. So they said it doesn't really fit, but how about we just call it this instead, and then we'll release it as is. And I said, you know what, that's fair enough. The distributor is the boss, and sometimes they have more experience than we do. Excuse me, distributing movies. So I took their lead and I said, you know what, I get it. So go ahead and change it. It wasn't that big of a deal to change it because they still put Ouija on the title.
yeah, they did, and I got to tell you that movie has so much heart to it. I mean, the ending
Oh,
is it's wonderful.
thank you.
Yeah.
Did
I,
you see part 1 and 2?
no, I
Okay.
just thought, I have to because I know that all the movies connect, right? Because you made a franchise out of the Ouija series.
Yes. I originally made Ouija Experiment. I shot that in Mesquite, Texas for $1,200. And
Wow.
it did really well. We had a theatrical release. We had worldwide releases for the movie. This was right on the very beginning of found footage films, and yeah, it did really well. So then ITN Distribution, you know, said, "Hey, would you like to make a sequel?" They funded the sequel, and then part three doesn't really connect story wise with the first two. They threw in the Ouija name to help it sell, although there was kind of a talking board with pencils. I think they called it the Charlie Charlie Challenge or something. So, and that was another filmmaker and another storyline. And then I came back in the picture, and I wanted to continue with the characters that had survived in the first, in the first films. Yeah.
Can you see the chat? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to go over and say hi to everybody. Our good friend John is here from Doomsday Crypt. Call me V. Led the raid. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for staying for the show. And of course, Echo mentioned the Walmart, and yeah, this is wow, $1,200 for your first movie, and I've seen that movie. In fact, I think I actually own a copy of Ouija Experiment.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, it did. I was so surprised that it did so well because I edit my things too. So when I edited it, I was numb to it, so it wasn't even scary to me. And it wasn't until we had our first screening that the audience was screaming their heads off, and I thought, oh wow, we might have something here. And then that's how it began. Yeah.
Yeah, I think why Ouija boards is it because you know that Ouijas are, a lot of people are just freaked out by Ouija boards, including myself. We're freaked out by it. We
You've never
look at
played with
it.
one?
Yeah, we look at it sort of like I look at it like a rattlesnake. It's like, yeah, it's nice, but you're not going to get me on there playing with it. I don't want to. I don't want to open the door to anything. Um,
That's a good idea.
no, so were you fascinated by witchcraft when you were growing up? I mean, I was reading about how you said your very first film that you saw what had something to do with the Ouija board. And
Yeah.
what was your first film that you remember seeing?
At 5 years old, I was watching The Exorcist. I
No.
wasn't supposed to be. We were
Uh,
at it was in Vegas. I have family in Vegas. I was actually born in Las Vegas. And I don't even know if they have these anymore. I've never seen it, but you park your cars in the middle of a circle of screens, and they're all showing a movie. So you park in front of the one you want to watch. Well, we were parked in front of the original Superman, but my 5-year-old eyes were looking at the screen next door, scared to death, watching Linda Blair go crazy with possession. And I was like, oh my God, I couldn't even hear the screen, but it fascinated me at how it was making me feel just by visuals. And that, I think, started everything for me.
yeah, I saw Phantasm that way. We were watching Alien. Me and my mom's second husband. We were watching Alien, and he was watching Alien. I'm sitting there watching Phantasm on the other side. And I was like, that is so cool. And then I didn't find out till later on, until I was doing my research, that Alien was part of history too.
Huh.
Yes, I'm sure a lot of people here don't realize this because I did not know this. That in the original Alien, they had a transsexual person in that movie.
Really?
Rhonda, yes, Rhonda Cartwright's character Lambert was a male to female.
Really?
Yes,
Do they
mind blown. I was
do
like,
they
yeah,
hint at that in the film?
they put it out there. If you look at the on the back, they have a computer monitor, and
Yeah.
on it has her background, and it says male to female.
Huh.
It's
What?
acknowledged because I was doing my research before today's show, about how many films there were because like I said, I mean, I was actually sort of thinking you're like John Waters in a sense, like. But John Waters has made huge steps to bringing a gay cinema to the mainstream. But you're in the same level as John Waters, in my opinion, because you're bringing horror movies to the same level.
Well,
No
thank
one's
you very
doing
much.
what you're doing. No one challenge me. Tell me another gay filmmaker that is actually making horror films.
Yeah, well, And it's very unfortunate, like you were saying. It's too bad that there aren't more gay filmmakers, because after I did, the movie that was in Tribeca, it's ticked off. I like to call it ticked off T girls with knives now, because
Sure.
at the time, the conversation hadn't been had about, is this a pejorative word or not. So I would definitely not name it that today. And we're actually working on a re-release, 15-year re-release of that, and renaming it Ticked Off T Girls with Knives. But anyway, after we did that, I thought, what genre always does not represent the gay community? And I thought, well, I've never seen a gay character in a zombie film. It might be implied by how they talk or how they dress, but like just flat out in your face, like all the colors of the rainbow, so to speak. And I shot it not caring if I was going to get it distributed or make money off of it. I just wanted to do it because I felt that it was an important message to give out there.
There was some heat in their dialogue in that movie.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was
Well,
there was some heat. There was some good acting, some really good acting, and there was heat in your dialogue. You could definitely hear it. There was not just like. And I gotta be honest. One of the first things people always say about, because of RuPaul or what have you, they always think is drag queens as being campy, or not taken seriously or stuff like that. I'm telling anybody who says they like horror films, this is a straight horror film. This is not played for camp. It's not played for laughs. There are some humorous moments in it, but all in all, it is a zombie movie. It is a horror movie. There is gore, plenty of gore in there.
oh yeah.
It is, yeah. So this is, and T Girls is also very, very straight laced. It's not
Yes.
a joke. It's a takeoff on I Spit on Your Grave. It's the revenge, the assault and revenge, and a very
Savage Streets.
powerful.
Savage Streets with Linda Blair.
Yes, Savage Streets. There's less. I mean, but you know what though? Think of when that movie came out though.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
would think that what really sort of ticked me off. I'll be honest with you. When I was reading about T girls, I was really surprised to see the blowback you got from Glad. To
Yeah.
me, it's like, why are you harshing on his mellow on any level? There's nothing else out there. You're not doing it. You're not going out there making horror films. You're not out there pushing the envelope. You're not out there telling a story that happens a lot, a
Yes.
lot. I mean, look at all the violence that happens in the trans community today. Okay,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
could make you could make plenty of horror movies right there. You can make noir movies. You can play thriller movies. But there's no one out there doing it because no one. It's hard to make movies.
Right. Yeah. There was a, when it first came out, there was a, I was very flattered because there was a college blog where they said that I was the love child of Quentin Tarantino and John Waters. And that was the most amazing compliment. But you're absolutely right, because from our community, when all of these bashings were happening and, trans women deaths, the response was, well, let's fight hate with love. And I was thinking, no, I am pissed off. Aren't you all pissed off? And I thought,
Yeah,
I'm tired of seeing trans women characters on film that are, made to not look so attractive, or they're all sex workers, or they're just kind of demure and weak. And I thought, no, I want my girls to be kick ass, look amazing, and they just own the city. You know what I mean? They're very confident. And
right.
when Glad came out, it was very interesting because I feel that Glad is a wonderful organization, but at that time, I think they just had a crappy leader,
Yeah.
because he came out against the film, and what they didn't know was I had a publicist and a manager, and I gave them the paperwork. I said, look, 2 months ago, we had a Glad representative come over. I gave them a copy of the film, and they gave us media training to us and the girls on how to handle tough questions. So send that to Glad. And they did, and Glad shut up. And I even, at the screenings and online, I said, Glad, I challenge any one of your representatives to sit on a panel with me and talk about how this went down, because you were wrong, not me. And they shut up.
As they should have. as they should have. And just like any other I mean, I thought it was brilliant. I mean, De Niro and his people had enough foresight to open up your movie in Tribeca. That's, now your movies open up internationally. So I mean, you definitely definitely have established your footprint. You are here. You
Well,
are
thank
you are
you.
here. Yeah, you're loud and you're proud and you're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
Um,
They tried to not screen the films. They were threatening Tribeca. We were getting bomb threats. Of
love
course,
love love the right wingers.
yeah, Tribeca didn't let me know until after the screening because it screened 4 times at midnight, and they were all sold out screenings. And it wasn't until the last screening that they said, "Oh, by the way, you know that we had bomb threats, right? But we didn't want you to panic."
God, it's yeah. Um, yeah. You know what though? It's sad that we're still talking about that today. It's
Yeah,
sad. And what's really sad and scary is it's getting worse. I mean, you as a filmmaker, as a screenwriter, I'm just thinking, boy, I mean, you must be writing every day, all day, because there's so many different stories that you could tell about where the world is at today, in that term, where we're at. Um, it's watching, you're watching it unfold. You're seeing the pushback from people on Target and Bud Light and all that, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, do you not understand any? It just shocks me to see how intolerant people are. It bothers the hell out of me. But at this, but to me, as a screenwriter, it's got to be fertile ground. It's got to be like, oh yes, I could write about this forever.
well, the way I look at it is if someone is not upset at my film or protesting or reacting, I'm doing something wrong. So the moment they start, going crazy and the controversy and everything, I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right here because the all of the protests and everything were before they even saw the film.
Of course, it
So
always is like that. That's all. That's all. That's all. That's all. The religious right is about Israel. They always react. They never once stand in there and actually watch or talk to anybody in the community. They always react. They're all reactionaries. They jump when they're told to. They never think for themselves.
well, that's why I had
Um,
the preacher be a part of the Welps family instead of the Phelps family because it was inspired by them,
right. Yeah.
because they're crazy nuts.
Our friend Katie is here. Our V says yes. Confident women. Confident women. Our friend Katie is here. Hi, Katie. Dell
Okay.
on Movies, an excellent film channel here on YouTube. It's crazy that our lines of division keep getting deeper. Yeah, it really is. It really is. It's just like, how do it's like when I hear the term woke, right? When people talk about movies, woke, and it's like it's hard to go out there and explain to them, like, listen, you've had the theater for 80 years. Every movie that represented white male or females, it's on the screen.
Yeah.
Couple, it's they all got their chance to go out there and tell their story. War heroes, housewives, business women, whatever. You go to the movies, it's overwhelmingly Caucasian straight people on the camera. Okay,
Yes.
over and over and over. So when someone from the gay community or from the indigenous people, Native Americans, when they say they want to have a little bit of representation, they want to see themselves on camera, and to see the reaction that you get, and then you tell them, like, do you know how few movies have been made with those characters in it? I mean, you could put them all. You could probably put every single movie. You could probably schedule a calendar of movies like Turner classic movies.
Yeah.
You could schedule a month of movies, and that'll be about it.
Yeah. And I wanted to continue representing for the community. So that's why I just unabashedly, unapologetically put different types. And I never take the time in my scripts in my movies to explain what this transgender person is. I don't explain what this drag queen is. They're just characters, and you either fall in love with them or you laugh at them or you think they're funny, or you don't like them because they're, a total bitch, all of those things. So to me, it's just I want to represent and continue representing with all of my films, even Ouija Warehouse or Deadly Reunion. I have the drag queen performer in it. Oh, she's actually trans.
Yes. Uh, yes. I was hoping because I went back to rewatch it on Tubi, and they cycled it out, but I know it'll be back. And when it does, I'm putting the link down in the description box here so people can go watch it because that's a really good movie. That's a movie has a lot of heart to it.
Thank you so much.
I love the ending so much. It was just like when I saw that, I'm like, that's really imaginative, really creative, and heartwarming at the same time. It wasn't played for it's not a scary movie. It's a I don't know. I don't know if I can put even a label on it other than it had a lot of heart.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you. It's like a, I guess, supernatural drama thriller. I don't know.
supernatural drama. So you were 5 years old when you first saw your first movie, and then I love the story. I was reading about the story, and you'll love this too. So I was reading about your story about how you would go with your uncle to the video store.
How did you find that? I don't even know where that
A
is.
good interviewer does this research, right?
I am impressed. Wow.
Uh, so you went there. It was really cute because you're sitting there saying how you were going with your uncle, and you were looking at all the 10 years old, and you're looking at all the movies, and you're looking at all the cute boys, and then you were allowed to pick one for your to go with your uncle, and
Yeah.
then you were sitting there looking at one called Young. You actually it was a young lady Chatterley.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And tell you, like, yeah. So what would happen is I have an uncle who lives two doors down, and when my aunt, his wife, would go out of town for the weekend, he would come over because he couldn't read or write. And he was a very, very sweet man. And he said, if you go with me to I don't know if you've heard of the old school 70s and 80s store called Ben Franklin's, but we would go to Ben Franklin's, and they had shelves, and then the little private shelves that normally kids would not be able to go to, but because I was with my uncle, they just kind of let me because I told him, hey, he can't read. So what I would do is I would read the back of the boxes and then show him the pictures, and then he would tell me which one it was or which one he wanted. So we actually would get two, one for him, and then one if I wanted to watch it. So, oh no, I'm sorry. We would rent one, and then he would let me watch it if I wanted to. So seeing the cover of Young Lady Chatterley, and then seeing like the chauffeur and the butler, and they were attractive, and I thought, I kind of want to see this. And so I would sit there. He would be on the couch on the other side, just kind of watching it. And being a 10-year-old, I was fascinated for like the first 5 minutes, I guess, when the sex would begin, and it's like, oh my god, wow, look at that. And then I was bored, and I thought, I want to go outside and play, so I would leave.
I remember seeing it because the actress in it was a young lady named Harley McBride.
Yeah.
So when I heard that I'm like, oh, I saw that when I was growing up. Like, that was Harley McBride. I remember her. I think she ended up marrying Adam West. She ended up marrying
Really?
somebody well known, and she
Wow.
retired. But she did that movie, and yeah, she was really she was quite striking. She
Yeah,
was
she
really
was
good.
really beautiful. Yeah. Yes.
Uh, so when did you decide that? I mean, what did it was based on the early picks of the movies. When did you decide that you wanted to get into the movies? And did you have any inkling at all? Did you have any inkling at all that there would be barriers in front of you because of your sexuality, or did not notice that and they just only saw you? They only saw you as a filmmaker. I feel bad by you, and that's the reason why I didn't do this. I didn't put like I saw a lot of the interviews would say gay filmmaker, and it's like, no, it's just a filmmaker who's just out
Filmmaker.
speaking.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Uh, it, but when you were starting out, did you encounter obstacles right away? Did people just see you and like, okay, uh, uh, Israel wants to make movies, so we're gonna make him make these certain type of movies. I mean, I think the last thing people expected is from you to sit there and say, "I want to get bloody."
Right, right, right. Yeah, no, that's a great question, because what happened was, the answer is yes, there was a lot of, obstacles to get through, lots of barriers, because I started off at way back in the day in the late 90s, when there was a thing called cable access. And so I took all of the classes for cable access, because when you did all of the classes, you could check out the equipment for free. And if you checked it out on a Friday, you could have it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then bring it back Monday. So I would do that. And the first thing that I did was, I want to make a gay soap opera. And so I called it Boobs, Boys, and High Heels. And so I guess I was so excited about just creating and being a filmmaker and giving this story that I didn't even think, excuse me, of, the difficulty to get it. And I immediately, right out the gate, I was sending it to agencies there in Dallas for them to send actors. Well, I actually had one, and I'm going to call him by name, Mike Thomas, because he is no more in the business for good reason. But he saw the script and he was like pointing out certain phrases in the script and saying, "What's that?" And I'm like, "It's a line from the film, but it's a PG film." Excuse me. And he said, "Well, I can't send my actors out for porn to shoot porn, because in the late 90s, if anything had to do that was gay related, they immediately thought we're shooting porn." And I didn't let it upset me. What I did was I took and made a list of the people that didn't want to work with me simply because it was either a gay themed project or because I was gay. And I collected a list of headshots and agencies
Good
of
for you.
people I would not take.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Our friend Steven is here. He is a promoter out of LA. He says that hello to you, and he likes
Hi.
Fright Flick, and he has a common friend with you, Todd Jinx Jenkins.
Oh my God. I adore Todd. He has been with me since the very beginning. He's doing so well. His mom just like 3 weeks ago, passed. So, but he is a wonderful guy, an amazing actor. And yeah, he was in Fright Flick. That was one of my favorites. Yeah, he's an awesome, awesome guy. That is so cool that Steven knows him.
Yeah, it's really I'm really happy to see now more comments are coming in. Great. I hope the engagement continues in the chat. I really am hoping that it does. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this. I didn't know what kind of reception I would get. And to me, it's sort of telling. In one respect, but I know that after this show is over with, I know a lot of people are going to find it, and they're gonna be really impressed with you.
Oh, well, thank you. I hope so.
So let's talk a little bit about more about that public access, because I mean, you were able to get your soap opera on the air though, right?
Yes.
How many episodes were you able to put out? And were you able to keep the masters of it? Do you still have that?
So when it aired on TV, I threw a party, a screening party, and when it was supposed to come on, which was like 7:30, we are on the cable access channel and nothing is happening. And everyone's like, "What's going on?" They didn't even begin it till 8 o'clock. And I thought, well, it's cable access. These people are just going to be kind of sloppy with screening it and stuff. But then they finally did. And someone at home, to answer your question, recorded it on a VHS tape. And then they gave me the VHS tape years later when they said, "Guess what I have?" And they handed it to me.
Wow. So how many episodes were you able to create?
2.
That's all they get, just 2.
2, because what I also learned, I have learned so much in making these movies and just being in the industry, is I didn't know how to edit at the time. So I was having an editor do it. Well, I had to edit on his time. And once they agree to edit, they're excited for the first week or two. And then they're like, "I'm not getting paid for this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to edit this film." So the first episode took a year to be released. And then the second one came out like another 6 months later.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was terrible.
You know what though? Well, you know what though, and tell me if do you find this to be true? And when it comes down to indie filmmaking, if someone comes up to you and says, "I can do that for free," you always say no.
Right.
It's always better to pay somebody. You sit there and say, "I'll do it for free," and you say, "No, I'm going to pay you."
Yeah.
Because once you pay them, then they have a job. They're invested in it. I found out that people who say, "Hey, I'll do this for you for free," are the worst because there's nothing in there for them.
Right.
They think that I'm gonna come, I'm gonna, and you always know this happens. They're gonna want to come. They'll sit there. I'll do this for free. I'll support you for free. I'm on your side for free. And then sooner or later they're gonna come out there, their hand out. Like, what about me? What about me? What do I get out of it?
Yes.
And
So
it's
what
like,
so what I did was I learned how to edit.
oh, nice,
and I
nice.
and I quickly realized that I quite fancy editing. I love editing. I'm kind of addicted to editing. So that was really great. So now I don't just shoot the films, I also edit them and score them as well. So
Yeah, I was reading about that, about your editing. I've always felt this way. I've always felt, as far as editing goes, if I'm a filmmaker, the one person I want editing my film, it isn't an editor, it's another filmmaker.
yes,
I want them to edit my movie because they see my vision a lot more than an editor does.
yes,
And so
absolutely.
I would always recommend that if you're going to if you're going to get anybody to edit your film, try to get another director to do it if possible.
Yes,
No,
absolutely. And for me, when I began to edit, I realized that I was responsible for anything that were to happen to my film. If it's a crappy film, I have no one to blame but me. If the edit is crappy, I blame me. So it adds more great, wonderful pressure. So, but it's at my timeline. I can do it when I'm relaxed, when I'm feeling creative, and then when I'm no longer feeling creative, then I stop editing. You know what I mean? So,
right.
but it's always in my hands. I hate when a project is in someone else's hands, and you're like, oh my god,
Yeah, you do feel that. You do have that helplessness about it.
Yes.
What was the first movie that you ever wrote?
Ooh, that I ever wrote. Um, It depends on how far back you want to go because when I was 16, my mom bought me an electric typewriter. And the
No.
first script that I wrote, it was about 25, 30 pages long. It was about some students, high school students, because I was a freshman, going and hiding out in a school just because it's big and empty and fun. Excuse me. And then there's a killer on the loose killing them. So
Um, so you were into horror from the very beginning. What were some of your favorite movies growing up that influenced you in some of your writing?
Oh yeah. So I was born in 72, but I grew up in the 80s and I was all about watching USA Up All Night with Rhonda
Um,
Shear with her big beautiful boobies shaking them
mhm.
around and she was playing movies like Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bolorama,
Yes.
Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungles of Death, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. All of those I grew up with and I loved them and I thought I want to make those kind of movies where it's horror and deaths and those are serious, but it also has a lighter, fun side because I think that's just my personality.
My favorite movie that Rhonda used to show, and they always used to show it on her night, and very few times ever on Gilbert's night. Gilbert mostly got all comedies on his side, and Rhonda always got the horror. But
Yeah.
one of my very favorite, because he used to play this thing to death, but I've never found a copy of a DVD copy of it. I've never found it though. I've looked for it, but I saw it all the time on USA. Was The Unnameable?
The Unnameable. I remember that film.
Yes. God, I used to play the hell out of it. And finally, I thought, you know what? I want to watch this. And it was so fun. It's such a kick-ass fun movie.
Yeah.
With all the tongue-in-cheek references to Lovecraft and whatnot. And it was just like, man, I want to own a copy of that. I never did find a copy. Um,
Huh. That's so
yeah,
strange that it just doesn't exist.
I don't think it does. I don't know if it ever got released.
Huh.
I've never seen a copy of that. Let's see. Rhonda Shear was the coolest ever. Rhonda Shear had a company that makes bras and panties these days. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure. Yeah, she was really cute. I don't know why she never got big. I know. She would be tailor made for it. She was really fun.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
she was great. I loved her so much that I just watched it for her and of course the films, but I couldn't wait for the commercial break where she could just say something really funny and sexy.
Right. Yeah. No. Everybody adored Rhonda. Um. So your early movies growing up, the USA Up All Night movies. Um. What did your peers think? I mean, when you came out, I mean, how old did you come out when you were 17 or 18, or I mean,
I
or did
was
your parents
20.
know that before that?
I was 20. Yeah,
20.
I had moved out of my small town, which I'm actually here now. I'm in the house that I grew up in. I'm visiting family for the weekend. Um,
Oh, good, good.
yeah, and so I came out at 20 because I had just moved to Dallas, and then I met someone, and I I'm a big family person, and I knew I have a wonderful family. I adore my family. That's why I come to visit so much. I knew that they were going to be okay with me coming out. It might take them a minute, but they quickly came around and they were super supportive. So,
What's the reaction? I mean, just slightly off topic. What is the reaction now to when you first came out till now in Texas? What's the atmosphere like? Is it more? I mean, always. I mean, is it less tolerant now than it was when you came out, or more?
I say it's a little more tolerant because this town that I'm in right now is a town of 2,000 people. So it's very, small town. We're up near Amarillo, and it's just flat and ugly, Uh, but I think in the city for sure, like in Dallas, it's much better. It's not perfect and it's not close to being perfect, but I feel that as we are exposed more as far as like represented in projects, then we become just kind of more of the norm. Because I remember when I was doing Boobs, Boys, and High Heels, I thought we need to have gay representation. And then, because this was like in the 90s when there were all these gay films coming out. And so then I thought, you know what? The trans women and just trans people in general were just being ignored.
Yeah.
And so that's when I did, ticked off T-Girls with Knives. I thought I want to represent everyone who's underrepresented and, with some messages as well.
Sure, sure. Uh, now, did you find any, like you mentioned, you shot Ouija for $1,200.
Yeah.
Um, especially when T Girls came out, did you find it easier to raise money? Because I'm thinking to myself, going like, man, I mean, I was looking at some of the budgets for your films, and I'm going like, why is his budget so small? You would think that his community would support him a lot more with money than not, because you were trying to get you're trying to get this made. You're trying to get, and it took you 5 years to get it made. You had several Indiegogos and crowdfunders that didn't nobody contributed to it.
Yeah,
And I'm
you
thinking to
really
myself,
did
I'm
your
like,
research. I'm impressed.
oh, I told you this. You're like a big deal to me.
Well,
This
thank
is
you
a
very
yeah.
much.
This is a big deal to me. This is yeah.
Thank you.
Um
Thank you very
yeah.
much.
This is an important interview for me.
Well, thank you.
I want to do it right.
All right.
And I
Well,
mean,
so unfortunately, you would think that after Ticked Off came out and it was such a big deal, we got limited theatrical release and everything. And yeah, it was still tough to get people to fund it because especially I don't know what happens like when you're in a certain town. It seems like in my case in Dallas, when you have some success, the people in your backyard don't want to really support you, other filmmakers or anything. It's only other cities that support you. And I'm not exactly sure why that happens, but you just have to keep going and
you didn't get any. So you didn't get any support from either. What about Dallas? What about Austin? I mean, you would think that you would go down to Austin and raise a shitload of cash for a new project.
well, I this is just my perspective because I went to Austin and I screened two films. Austin, because they are a filmmaking city, they they are kind of snooty about it.
Yeah.
So when we screened, I remember when we screened Ouija Experiment, they were just very snooty and just were not impressed. And then when I did my second film, it was the same thing. Ticked Off, when we were having our film festival run, we were in such demand that we were asking for $1,000 per screening because there were so many film festivals that wanted it. When we screened in Austin, since it's in Texas, I went and comparing the screenings to like San Francisco, where they start off the film like, "Hi everyone, this movie is awesome. Yell at the screen, throw popcorn, cheer, yell, have a good time, yay!" And then the movie starts. In Austin, it was, "Hello everyone, we are here to watch Ticked Off Two Girls with Knives. The filmmakers in the audience for Q&A afterwards. This has caused a big controversy within the trans community.
Gee.
Enjoy the film." And
So
that's how it started.
they're poisoning the water before you even ran the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were lines in the film that were always missed because people were laughing so hard at the line before. In Austin, you heard every single line. Yeah. So they're very snooty over there when it comes to indie filmmaking. They're like very, very, as Joan Rivers says, very fall, fall, fall.
I think they're very quiet when it comes to that indie gay filmmaking because I've heard Austin that they're very supportive. I think it's just sort of like they don't want to get caught. They don't want to be caught in public supporting. Maybe.
Well, and
Uh,
this was also 2010, so maybe times, things have changed now.
Maybe. I mean, South by Southwest, I mean, it was big because I used to work in the music business and I used to sit there and follow, every time South by Southwest hit, I was always looking to see who was playing and what was coming out and everything else. So when it came down toward my way, I knew what to expect and when to expect it. And, I always thought it was, like very, I thought it was very liberal. And then later on, I found out that it was once the corporations got a hold of it, it didn't. Maybe if you would open your film up in the 90s, it would have been 100% crazy. But
Yeah,
once the corporations got a hold of South by Southwest, it
yeah.
became much more mainstream.
Well, I feel that a lot of film festivals are running for different reasons. I've discovered that now, if you enter certain film festivals, the programming director or whoever's running the show will contact you. And if you're showing up, they will make sure to give you a prize. And I think that's wonderful. And the sentiment is really nice. But what if it's a crappy movie, but you're showing up? You're going to have an award, and now you're going to brag about this award. And I guess it's, in a way, it's okay. I'm kind of torn, but it's not what it's supposed to be,
No, a festival. A lot of festivals are you're based on a reward based on how much you spend.
That too. Yeah.
If you go, if they're selling their magazine for the festival, and you happen to buy a back page going like, "Watch my movie," and there's spent oh, they spent $500 on that. Let's give them a Best Actor award.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't I haven't been in a film festival in, I would say, at least 10 years, because I've been very fortunate that I work with ITN distribution, and they have funded like my last, few films and distributed them until this last one that will be released around Halloween, called La Chancla del Diablo, and that one is was funded fully by me. So
who's distributing it?
I don't have a distributor at the moment. I have two that have contacted me already that want it with just the title, but I don't want to say and jinx it, but I kind of know where I'm going to go with it. But the great part is, since I funded it, I'm independent. This film is independent, so I don't have to give it to anybody. I might start a little bidding war.
Yes, that would be that would be very cool to see that.
Yeah.
Um, what was your reaction like when I mean for your first movie, I guess the first mainstream movie that you did, what was your reaction? I'm so bummed about the reaction in Dallas. It's like you would think that hopefully that's a lot different today than it was 2010 as well. Um,
Which film in particular?
any film. I mean 2000. I mean, I guess when Teen Knives came out in 2010. I mean, did you get a good reaction in your hometown for that, or were they shocked at it?
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't until we screened it. We had a private screening for the cast and crew, and then of course, family and friends. We sold out, and at the end of the film, everyone stood up and clapped, and that had never happened to me before. So I was really blown away by that, and I thought, wow, we really have something here. And because of the controversy, we would have a Q&A, and they would ask me tough questions. And one woman said, she was a trans woman, and she said, Israel, I just wanted to let you know that some of the bashing scenes were very disturbing, but what I had never seen before is when I got to see that murderer get his ass kicked by one of the girls. I have never seen that in my entire life, and thank you. And I was like, wow. You know, so
Now, was that film influenced by the original I Spit on Your Grave?
a little bit, yeah. Because I was a big fan of those exploitation films, you know, like remember Angel, where she's, you know, a straight A student by day and a hooker by night, you know, all of those movies where it's a revenge fantasy drama is what I wanted to do. Just like, you know, like you said, it was Savage Streets, I Spit on Your Grave, all of those where the women are, you know, raped and abused and beat up and left for dead. Well, guess what? She's going to come back and let you have it. And then you're like, yes. And then the movie ends. And I thought, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, it's so cool too, because I mean there's been absolutely zero at that point in time, and probably not too many afterwards. Up to that point in time, there never been anything like that on the screen. I mean, I'm just looking at some of the films, and it's just like they were either victims or they're victims, or they were the villains, and then they're played, you know, almost like caricatures. Um,
Yes.
so where did you find your actors? I mean, you know, most of the time, you know, I mean, it wasn't at the time that you started your filmmaking career, there probably wasn't a lot of trans actors in the business.
No, there was not. So what I did was there is, you know, drag is huge in Dallas, and there are all of these, you know, queens that perform at a place called S4. And so there was one woman that I actually wrote the role for named Crystal Summers. And I gave her the script and I said, you know, tell me what you think. I would love for you to play the lead as Bubbles Clicquot. And she read it and she said, I love it. Let's do it. And then there was the incomparable legend, Erica Andrews, who is no longer with us, but she is known, you know, all over the globe. And so she came on board and I was blown away. Willem Belli, I did not know Willem until he messaged me. He said, "Hey, you know, I would like to audition," and because we were getting so many people, you know, that were contacting me, he just sort of like fell through the cracks. And then I had posted all of my cast, and then he messaged me again and said, "Well, I guess I didn't make it." You know, and I paid attention to him again. Well, a character fell through, and I said, "Well, would you like to be in it?" And he said, "Well, send me the script real quick." And then within 30 minutes, he said, "Yes, I'll do it." And then, of course, there was Jenna Sky and Calexis Davenport. They also work at the Rose Room, and they are wonderful. And I wanted, of course, Jenna in it, playing Tipper Samore, because she's extremely talented at everything she does. She's meticulous at everything. She's amazing. And then, of course, Calexis. I needed a, you know, slightly heavier set sort of mama who took care of all of them, that you just looking at her just love. And she blew it out of the water. My God, she was amazing. So yeah, that's how I found them.
I mean, once you became known, though, I mean, once your movie came out, and you know, how long did it take for you to be established as you know, a film director doing gay horror? I mean,
I
you.
think I think everyone here in Dallas knows me as that filmmaker who is very openly gay. And I'm sure that there is some, you know, prejudice stuff going on, or, you know, someone not wanting to have anything to do with my projects. But it's hard to avoid me in Dallas because not only am I a filmmaker, but I also run a big film competition. We're in round 14 called Rack Focus. So I'm creating all these platforms for people to just create and make films. So these people that don't want to work with me, I don't know if they see all the, you know, I hope they see it as wonderful things and platforms that I'm doing for them to create, that it sort of makes that go away. And they're like, Israel's just a person. You know what I mean? That's what I'm hoping. But I'm sure there's that group that doesn't want anything to do with me for whatever reason. Like, I don't know what they're thinking I'm going to do, you know?
How are you? Have you found yourself more accepted by, like, straight gay, straight horror fans more than gay horror fans? And what it's, I mean, this may seem like a real general question, and I apologize, but what is it? What is an average gay fan? What do they look for in their movies? I mean, what do you? I mean, is it just the same as me? I mean, are our visions very different? Or is it? I mean, so am I putting a label on where I shouldn't be?
Well, no, that's a great question, because when Ticked Off T-Girls came out, it wasn't even making the gay film festivals at all. It was doing the mainstream festivals and horror festivals. And I was so thrilled about that, because even growing up, sensing I was gay, because I didn't know, but I kind of knew. So I liked, there was my gay side, but there was also my horror side that I loved. So it was hard for me to fit in. Like, I know a few people have commented here right now about Fright Flick. Fright Flick, in the first 10 minutes, it's a movie within a movie, and there's lots of boobs. There's lots of skin, because I was making movies to cater to a wider audience. And it wasn't until I did Ticked Off that it just really catapulted me, because I just really, I didn't write Ticked Off and shoot Ticked Off for no other reason than it was in my heart, and it was a passion project that I wanted to give out this message of enough's enough.
Um, yeah, I can see that. I could definitely see that. Uh, so after that movie came out and had great success, and then where did you get where did the idea I mean, not only have you did the Ouija experiment, but you did create a franchise out of that, and that takes a lot of doing right there. So let's
Yes.
talk a little bit about the Ouija franchise, because honestly, this is in fact, well, now that I'm saying this, I'm going to help you out right here too. Trust me,
Okay.
right here. Watch this. Watch the chat. So now that we know that the franchise for the Ouija franchise is on ITN, that will probably get a deep dive from our good friend Echo, because he'll be all over it. He is an ITN guy. He buys their movies. Me, I'm an IFC guy. Anything IFC Midnight, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
Um, I'm all over. I'm all over a good movie though. When I saw this at the library, and I looked at it and I said, "Wow, looks cool," And I looked at it and I saw the back. And I'm like, "Holy shit, this is calling to me." And sure enough, there you are. There's your name, And I'm like, "All right, this is dope. This is absolutely dope."
Thank you very much.
Where did you come up with the Ouija franchise?
So, it's very interesting, because when I was making my very first film, um, I thought, what am I going to make it about? Because I don't have a big budget. And I remembered, okay, so I was addicted to Ouija boards when I was in junior high and high school. I had 3 of them.
Yikes.
Yeah. And I would play them with my friends. And so I thought, you know what? We always had really strange things that happened to us. So I'm going to make a movie based on these true events that happened to us, outside of us dying, but everything else was kind of true in the whole movie. So before I did Ouija Experiment, it was called "Is Anybody There?" because that's what you say as you're moving the pointer. And I shot it on this little Sony camcorder. Imagine in like 1998, this little camcorder with a little monitor like this. The quality looks like America's Funniest Home Videos kind of quality. But and I had a very good friend of mine who invested in it. He funded it for $15,000 because I wanted to do it right. I thought, I want to pay everybody, I want to buy them meals, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So we shot it, I edited it, screened it, and it was bought by a distributor. They never released it, but I shot it for 15,000 and they bought it for 25. So I made money off of it. So
What do you
then,
mean? What do you mean they didn't release it?
for whatever reason, they just never released it. They bought it, but they didn't release it. And shortly after, they went out of business.
Oh,
So the moment they went out of business, I guess they were just, not doing a good job with their distribution company. But what I
wow.
did was, since I had the rights back, I kind of did a reboot of my own film and called it the Ouija Experiment. And so that's what we did. And that $1,200 that I spent was pretty much buying Taco Bell meals for my crew, for my cast and crew.
Nice.
Yeah,
You should have put some product placement in the film.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but and it was a deferred payment kind of thing, which in the very small indie world, deferred payment pretty much means you're not going to get paid, you're doing it for free. But in this case, the cast and crew, or the cast, was so thrilled that I gave them a call and I said, hey, guess what? Ouija Experiment did really well. ITN Distribution wants to do a sequel. So now you're getting paid for the first one and getting a raise for the second one. That was so good to tell the actors.
So the second movie, now you had a bigger budget, and I mean, how much money did ITN entrust you with?
So with this one, I don't know if I'm supposed to say it, but I'll go ahead and say it. They trusted me with 30,000.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad for a beginning filmmaker. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so we shot it. We actually came here to Wellington, Texas, to shoot Ouija Warehouse. I'm sorry, Ouija 2, Ouija Resurrection, I think it was called. And yeah, and we shot it, and it did well again. So I was very happy.
Theater of Death. The
Yes,
Ouija Experiment 2, Theater of Death.
yes, Theater of Death. Yeah,
Uh,
and then they changed the title again, I think, because I have a cover that says Ouija Resurrection. So I don't know.
oh,
Maybe
okay.
maybe different markets have different things that attract them. I don't know.
I don't know. You know what? It's like, it's there's another company called Wild Eye. They do this shit all the time too. That someone will turn in their movie with the name in it, and it's a good name. It's not a controversial name, and they'll still change it around. I think it's more common than not. But this one here was and that came out in 2014. And did you have the same? Did you use this? The covers are badass. Let's talk about the covers of these movies. The covers of the movies are wickedly cool.
Yes,
They're creepier than hell. Ouija, the Resurrection, that looks spooky.
yes.
So did you use the same actors for every film? Were they playing different roles, or was this all one continuity?
They're playing the same roles. The survivors from the first one are in the
Yeah.
second one, and what I did was when you watch. Well, I kind of don't want to spoil how they're connected, but they are connected, and so yeah, I got the original characters from the first one, but then I brought a new batch of people because you have to have a higher kill count in the second one.
Uh, so I didn't know that ATN actually did in-house productions. That's good to know.
Yes.
Um, and so the movie came out, and again, it did really, really well. And I mean, obviously, you got to do the third one, and it also, I mean, just a franchise is it's really hard to get off. I mean, did you see it as a franchise, or was that something you planned on doing?
No, because I didn't. I'm never thinking, oh, in the sequel I'm going to do this. Now, when ITN called me after Ouija Experiment, the first one did well. They said, "Hey, have you thought of a sequel?" Of course, I'm like, "Yes, yes, absolutely." I had no clue. But I said yes. And the third one I have to say is my Halloween 3. That a lot of people
Right.
aren't crazy about. I still like it, but it didn't really belong in that
Hal-
series.
Halloween 3 is my favorite.
It's good, right? I like it. Um,
Uh,
but but part three, I'm not sure if I regret it or not because I don't like to regret things. I just like learn from them, so I don't regret anything. But this one, I wanted to give a chance to an up and coming filmmaker in Dallas. So ITN was going to fund it, and I gave it all to this filmmaker, and I was just going to sort of produce it. It was a terrible disaster. They kept the film. I don't think they were even editing. We were missing deadlines. Me and Todd Jenkins, that someone was mentioning before, that he was there with me. We had to pretty much corner the filmmaker of it was called the Charlie or Charlie Charlie. That's all it was called. To get the movie right. Well, what happened is um, I took the movie back. I fixed it, finished it, I personally don't think it was very good.
Are you talking
But
about Deadly Reunion?
no, this is a Ouija 3, the Charlie challenge, I think is what it's called.
Oh, okay, okay,
And so what ITN did was, the movie's okay. We're gonna slap Ouija 3 on there because it was originally just gonna be a Charlie movie when that fad was popular.
okay.
Yeah, and I'll never work with that filmmaker again. He was a terrible person, and I won't work with them again. So, but
Is he actually still out there and mucking up things? Oh, Lord have
he's
mercy.
he's out there. He doesn't speak to me because I guess I'm the villain now because of his own actions. So, but I'm kind of used to people doing that. But yeah, so that was Ouija 3. It was never meant to be a Ouija movie. They just slapped the title on to help it sell.
Right. And they got their money back, I'm sure. I'm
I
sure.
hope so. I hope
Sure.
so. You know.
Sure. Well, you obviously got to do Ouija 4. And like I said, that's the one that I've watched. I have to go back and watch the other ones. I know I have Ouija Experiment. That one I know. I don't have 2, and I don't have the third one, but I do have. I did watch the last one, um, and really, again, I have to. I keep saying this, but I have to sit there and say that it's a very warm-hearted movie. Um,
The interesting thing about that one when we shot it was we shot it at the very beginning of COVID. So I thought to myself, because ITN was like, Israel, we need content. We need to keep putting movies out there because we don't know how long this COVID
oh
thing's
my
gonna
God,
last, this quarantine. So
yes.
what we did was I said, okay, well, how about we shoot it all in one location, have a limited cast, and just kind of just shoot it all in one location. And I thought, oh my God, what's going to be the story of why they're in here? And then that's when the ending and then the story started coming together for me. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try to do this as a continuous shot because I'm a huge fan of continuous shots.
Yes.
So we would do 3 to 4 hours of rehearsal, and then we would shoot for 10 minutes. Then
Wow.
do it again. Yeah, we shot. That was my record for the quickest time to finish a movie. We shot it in 5 days.
That's really fast.
Yeah,
That's really fast. But I
yeah.
guess since you're working with a lot of the same people now, do you have that? Do you have that now? Like I noticed that you have more. You have 2 projects coming up. The one you mentioned before, La Cienza del Diablo. What does it say about the devil? I know what's it in English? I know
It's,
Diablo's devil.
yeah, la chancla means pretty much like a flip flop, a sandal.
Oh, okay.
So it's the Satan's flip flop or Satan's sandal.
Satan's flip flop.
Yes.
And now, is this a horror comedy? Is this gonna be fun?
Well, again, it's almost like Dead Don't Die and Ticked Off Tea Girls. Yeah, you can. Um, that's my sister.
Hi.
um, it there the chancla is a legend in the Latino community. Because our moms would hit us with it, so we were always afraid of it. And now there's millions of YouTube videos of people like superheroes battling against a Latino mom with a chancla, and she always wins because she throws
Oh,
it at you, it hits you, it turns corners, because we were super afraid of the chancla because if we would act up, they would grab it and go, and then we're like, ah. So I thought I want to make a movie where it's an actual flip flop, but somehow gets possessed by something, and now it's killing people for real.
death by flip flop.
Yes.
Now you have to throw some comedy into that.
Oh my God. Yeah. So ITN has already reached out saying they would love to distribute it.
Man, that's really that's gotta be one. That's gotta be a rewarding feeling, Israel, to know that there's a company like ITN backing your play. Believing what you're doing, seeing you as a visionary, as a pioneer. Uh, because they know there's a market for it. I mean, think about this. It's to me it's wide open. There's no other studio doing this. There's no other studio doing horror movies aimed for the trans community. And you know what? There's some of the biggest horror fans out there.
Yes,
I
that is
mean,
very true.
the money. I mean, and that's why I was a little bit surprised when you were having trouble raising money. I'm going like, wow, why did they have trouble raising it? Because we know a lot of people in the community, and they love horror, and they buy the movies, they buy posters, they buy figures. I mean, there's a lot of community in here that are just like us, regular horror fans, you and me. They have money, they have collections. Um, in other words, they have money to spend.
Yes,
It's like, so why aren't you giving them more representation? Because the more you represent them, the more money you can make.
right. And I
And
think because that T word that we don't speak of anymore, I think because of that word in the title, I think it caused some debate, and some people chose not to work with me, especially in our community, because that word is in the title. So I think that's some of it. And to go by what you just said about, how happy I must be that I just finished a film and ITN is right there for me. They have been so supportive of me for about 10 years now. They are wonderful people. I actually went to, so it's the president of sales and the CEO, Stu and Nicole, and I went to their wedding in Vegas, with my boyfriend. So they are wonderful, wonderful people, and they have been big supporters of mine. At first, they didn't get the chancla idea because I've been pitching it to them for about 3 years, and they're like, "A sandal? Like,
but
they don't."
but there's a subgenre. There's a subgenre there.
Yes,
Having a possessed sandal. One of my favorite movies. Is a movie called Attack of the Killer Donut. So he has
yes,
possessed donuts.
yes,
Have
yes,
you seen that one yet?
yes, yes. And there's one that's like a killer couch or something
Yeah,
too.
there's a killer couch. There's
Yeah.
a killer. There's slacks about killer pants. Of course, you have rubber. That probably might be the most well known.
Yep.
You have teeth.
Yep.
That's also really weird. So there's a lot of subgenres with inanimate objects. So obviously there's people out there that love it. Killer pinata. Um, Killer kites that's coming out from our good friend down there who made Sewer Gator.
Nice.
Of so I mean, there's a lot of really cool subgenre movies out there. I think your film will do very well will do very well.
Well, thank
Now,
you.
have you now that's already in post production. Who did you use as far as cast wise for that? Uh,
Ooh,
did you keep your main actors, or do you keep your main acting core with you from movie to movie?
I try to, but a lot of the times actors move to other cities, or they become like, like too expensive for me to hire.
Oh
um,
my!
but
But
if
that's sort of
they,
good though, isn't it? Isn't I mean, in a way, that's sort of like, I mean, that means their career's taking off.
oh yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's just kind of a bummer that I can't afford them because I wish I could. Um, but but in this one, I have to say, for La Chancla del Diablo, it was my most personal film that I've done ever in my career, because I shot it in this house that I grew up in the town that I grew up in, and there's a grandmother character in it, and it ended up being played by my mother, like real
Oh,
life mother. Uh, and But then I also had auditions as well in Dallas, and then I brought everyone here. We stayed at the local hotel, the only hotel. And so this one is very personal to me.
now, how soon will we be? How soon do you think we'll be seeing it hit the shelves? Have you delivered it? Have you given it to ITN yet?
No, I have not. I'm still in the final stages of like the editing and then like color grading, the color correction. But I'm hoping to have a private screening in Dallas during October, and at that time, probably like in September, I'll send it to ITN, and hopefully at the screening I can announce that we have distribution maybe. So probably next year is when it's going to come out.
I have to say this, and I don't hope this is not controversial, or hope we don't take this the wrong way. But I think one of the best things that could have happened for you and too is that do you know what idolatry is?
Yes.
Okay, Dollar Tree has been getting a lot of movies, right? They put them out. They get a bunch of movies. They put them out on the shelves. They sell them. Your movies. In fact, this is where I think I picked up my copy of Ouija Experiment. Um, your movies and ITM movies were very prevalent during that. I look at it just as a beautiful way of getting your movie out there. I mean, you can sit there and say, "I wish someone would buy this movie at $14.99." Would you sit there and hope for that, or would you be happy knowing that there's 15 people out there buying your film for $1 or $1.25 and watching it that way? I mean, I guess unless you get paid, unless you get points per unit sold, um, if that's the case, I can understand being a little upset. But if you got your money made, and then someone says, "Yeah, I got your movie at a Dollar Tree," or I bought a used copy at the library. I,
Yeah.
I mean, um, is it of your opinion that it's like no matter what, I just want to see, no matter what it takes.
Yeah, for me, it is having an audience. So if it's out there, for example, Ouija Experiment is on YouTube for free with ads, and it is reaching almost 2 million views. So that thrills me. Um, as long as there is an audience for it, I love when perfect strangers contact me and say, "Hey, your movie, touched me somehow," or "I really loved your film. Thank you for representing." Any of those comments. It's wonderful because I don't know these people, and I know the one time I remember, or the very first time I should say, that I saw one of my titles on a like pirating site. Um, it I think it like debuted at like number 2, and I thought, am I flattered or should I be upset? I'm not exactly sure, but I'm kind of flattered that many people are pirating my movie.
Don't okay. So this is just my 2 cents about that. And as a filmmaker, I'd like to hear what you think. So a lot of us people, most everybody here in the chat and myself, we're physical media fans. We're physical media fans. Before streaming went out, I was like, 100% against piracy. I just didn't like it. I don't like people doing it. I don't want people say, "Hey, I can get you a bootleg of the latest movie." No, thanks. I'm good. I'll wait.
Yeah,
Um, and then streaming services came out, like things on Netflix and whatnot. And then they would turn around and they sit there and say, "Well, we're not releasing it at home. We're not releasing it. We're just going to keep it on stream because we want you to buy our streaming services or to watch this movie. We're not going to release it."
right,
Netflix is infamous for saying that with the Marvel stuff.
right.
And it's frustrating, because it's like, well, why can't you release it on physical media? There's over half the country that won't be able to afford your streaming.
Yeah,
And they say, well, that's not how we do it. I gotta admit, my attitude was if someone came up to me today and said, "Hey, I got a bootleg of the Defenders," I would probably be tempted to sit there and say, "Yeah, okay, okay," because I feel like they're not giving us the public a fighting chance.
yeah,
We want to see your movies. We want to support that, but you don't want to support us. You're sitting there punishing us that we don't necessarily can't afford this. But so your idea of punishment is like, well, if you don't subscribe to our streaming services, you're not going to see what everybody else is seeing. And so when
exactly.
people do bootlegs, and all of a sudden it's a lot more easier to sit there and say, to turn the blind eye. Is
Yep.
that a healthy attitude to have? I mean, as a filmmaker, I mean, would you be more pissed off at me telling you that that's my attitude today, or if any fan lover came up there and told you that today? I mean, is it something, or is it something that as a filmmaker you want your distributor to make physical copies? I mean, is it really hard to get a distributor to do that now? I
Well,
mean,
it's interesting you bring that up. That's another great question. I think DVDs and Blu-rays are slowly going away, and there's always been this really great thing for filmmakers where I'm just grabbing my phone, but like a physical copy of a DVD, with the art on the front, on the back, with the names. It makes you legitimate. And when you're seeking investors, you can show it to them and say, look at this film, this distributor has it. And with everything just going pure digital, I don't know what that's going to do to filmmakers as far as like when they're wanting to meet with investors outside of just saying, here's my laptop, let me pull it up, instead of like giving them a physical copy. It's not the same.
Yeah, it isn't. And like I said, I just hate that aspect of, for me anyway, because I don't like piracy at all.
Yeah.
I've heard many actors sit there. I remember Scott Adkins sitting there going like, two of my most popular films are out there. I'd like to make a third one, but I can't because the other two got pirated so much that I wasn't able to make my money back. And yet you guys are sitting there asking me to do it again. And it's like, how can I make the movie
Yeah.
when as soon as I put it out, people are pirating it?
Yeah.
And he tries to get out on hard copies because he understands that his fans are not necessarily streaming people. They don't have the disposable income for that. They can buy that $15 initial investment and keep it forever.
Yeah.
Whereas you're asking, well, if you want to watch the movie, you have to pay $15 a month to be able to watch it,
Yeah.
and so it's a struggle.
Yeah, so
Um,
I guess to answer your question, I'm just kind of torn on it, like, because if they're pirating it, that means I see it as the movie's already been released, it's made some money, and now it goes to the pirating. As far as like in my experiences, the pirating came at least a few months after it was already released, so it had already made some money. So I've been lucky in that way.
are you gonna make a Lorona movie? A La Llorona movie?
You know, that's a great, great subject. I had pitched La Llorona to ITN, and I said, it's the crying woman, it's a legend in the Latino community. And then guess what? They come out with, La Llorona. And I got to say, I'm going to try not to sound hateful or racist, but I saw the trailer, and the first thing I see is a Caucasian woman saying, it's La Llorona. And I thought, it is not La Llorona, it's La Llorona. This is our character, and they are whitewashing it. So I didn't watch it. Nobody in my family watched it because we're like, no, this is not representing us at all. They did it wrong. They flat out did it wrong. So
Yeah,
ITN,
the first time I ever exposed to that legend was in an episode of Grimm.
interesting.
Yeah, they did it. Episode of Grimm, and it was very good. It was very
Oh,
good. I thought it was very well done and very true to its roots. That was the
yeah,
first time I went and I read about the legend, and I was like, wow, this is heartbreaking. And then
yeah,
I saw they made two at the same time. They made the one connected to the Conjuring universe, and then they made a separate one standalone. And I don't know who made that, but they made it a standalone La Llorona. And see, I'm trying to say that, and I don't even know if I can do that right. Um, La Llorona. Am I killing it? Sorry,
like that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But
I'm done. All right.
but what I'm saying is it wasn't a Latino film, and that's this is a Latino legend, and it was just very disappointing. And may I add a little trivia here? When Ouija Experiment came out, it was released a year and a half before Universal's Ouija movie came out. We came out a year and a half first.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, or in my head, I'm dreaming that they saw the movie, they saw how successful it was, and they said, "Oh, we should do a Ouija movie." Because another reason I made it was because the last Ouija movie that was done, from what I had remembered when I made it, was the movie with Tawny Katane and the guy that was Patch from Days of Our Lives. That
Yeah.
one came out in like '88. So there was no Ouija movie since then. So that's when I made
I,
mine.
I can help you with that. I can help you. There is a movie I can tell you that you should check out. Uh, it's called Ouija Shark by Brett Kelly.
That's awesome.
Ouija Shark. In fact, they're so awesome. They came out with two. There was a Ouija Shark one with directed by Brett Kelly, and then he made it on $210 Canadian. It
Wow.
blew up. It blew up. They took it to Japan. It blew up Israel, and they made it. It made us money back. Just. And they made another one. They made a Ouija 2 that's supposed to be coming out later on this year.
Oh my God, that is awesome. I'm gonna have to watch those. I haven't seen those yet.
Oh, after you watch it, just don't make sure you don't crush me too bad. Uh, what's next for you? Other than wrapping up your current movie, the Devil's Flip Flop. What's next for you after that?
There are two projects that I have that I'm sort of tossing around that until one of them just comes out and speaks to me. One of them is the sequel to another film that I did called Business Women, where
Okay.
all the female roles are played by trans women and drag queens. I kind of want to do a season 2 because we did it in like 6 episodes, 6 individual episodes. And then the other one is I had always planned on doing Ticked Off T-Girls with Knives, Kicking Zombie Ass for Jesus, and then doing a third one that would be inspired by Back to the Future 3, where the trans women are zapped back in time to Western days.
Yes,
I think
that
that
would
would be so amazing.
that would be fun. That would
Yeah.
be very fun. Yeah. I mean, why not? Why not? Science fiction something is science fiction something you want to expound on to try to expand?
Yeah. I totally forgot about this and you reminded me, so thank you. There is a friend of mine in Dallas. We are both working on a sci-fi sort of themed I guess it's almost like an anthology, but it's 2 films. It would be an hour and a half film, but 2 different films that are 45 minutes each.
Okay.
And his is all done green screen on a spaceship, and mine is going to be called Transmission, with trans women on a spaceship looking for men because there's men are scarce on Earth, so they're out looking for men to continue reproducing.
Have you had straight actors come out to audition for your movies and then get sort of taken aback when you're asking them to act against trans people? Have you ever had any straight actors turn tail, or have they all stayed in there and done the job?
Well, unfortunately, the answer is yes. That happened. It happened once with Business Women. It wasn't through an actor that I found. My producer found an actor, and during our first read through, he was looking around, and I guess he just felt really lost. And I could just tell on his face that he was uncomfortable because it was nothing but trans women and gay men, and he's just kind of looking around. So he said, "Oh, Israel, I have to take this call real quick. I'll be right back." And then he left and never came back.
That's a long phone call.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I mean, that's the only if that's the only time it's happened. I mean, you're upfront with what you're doing, right? When they audition for the role, you sit there and say you will be working against a trans actor. I mean, are you okay with that?
No, I don't even post it that way because that's almost like warning them that they're going to be with a trans woman. I never say anything like that because it shouldn't matter if they're actors. It shouldn't matter who they're acting against.
You're
I
right.
just tell them the concept and that's it. And if they don't want to be in it, they are easily replaceable. And I don't want to work with actors that are bigots at all. So they're doing me a favor.
I cannot. Let's see. Echo saying they love to make they used to love making movies about chupacabras. Yeah,
Well,
I've come to across them a lot a lot at one time. There are a lot of chupacabra movies out there. I got to give that. Israel, I want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with us today, and
thank you so much.
I had an absolutely lovely time. This was
Me too.
amazing. I hope you had fun.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I thank you for answering all the questions. I want to thank the chat for staying with us today and offering some fun engagement. This was great. I absolutely loved it. Thank
Yeah.
you for answering everything, and we will be looking forward to your next projects. You can find Israel's movies on Tubi. And you can also find them at Walmart and anything that has anything with ITN. You can go to ITN and get his movies there, and then Walmart.
Yeah.
Uh, yep. So the Dead Don't Die in Dallas. You can get that at Walmart. You type in at Amazon and eBay and look for his films there on secondary markets. There's a lot of places to get your movies at. So we definitely, and of course, Echo, we look forward to watching you do your dive on the Ouija franchise sometime soon. All right, boys, and ITN. ITN is not bad. It's a step up from Asylum, and that's what Echo used to live for. He used to live for the Asylum.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate you having me on your show, and I appreciate all the people watching and commenting. It really meant a lot when you reached out to me and said that it was, had a lot of heart in it. That was like it made me pay attention. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, thank you again. And let me say real quick to the chat. Tomorrow night we will be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with Dan Crawley. He is an elite makeup artist, a special effects man. Have you ever heard of Dan Crawley?
I have not.
You probably will if I read you some of his movies, because you'll recognize some of his costumes and his makeups. He's done Renfield. He's done The Core. He's done.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's elite. He'll be here tomorrow night, and we'll be talking about special effect makeups. You want to come on in?
Yeah, if my family's not dragging me somewhere, absolutely.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you what I do. I will send you a link. You can come out and hang out with me live when I'm doing the interview with Dan, and so you can actually talk to him about makeup and
That would
special
be
effects.
awesome. Thank you very much for the invite.
All right. So tomorrow, if everything's copacetic, we're going to have a co-host. Our good friend Israel Luna will join us tomorrow night with our interview with elite makeup artist and special effects person Dan Crawley, and that will be here at 8 o'clock on Saturday on the 15th at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. We will be back with the Night Watch podcast. Ryan and Garrett will be here with us at 4 p.m. That's it for me. To the chat, to Stephen. Thank you so much for coming out and supporting this. I really do appreciate it more than you know. As usual, stay right where you're at. And to the chat, I'll see you in a few minutes on the midnight hour. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Bye.